Hi friends, in the last session we have discussed that parameters and return statement, right? So we have started that functions concept. On that we have observed that parameters and return statement. So let me remind one more time for parameters and return statement, and next I will explain a concept called returning multiple values from the function. Okay, returning multiple values from a function. So how we can do, just to remind, I will remind the concepts of the previous one. So next I will go through the present topic. Okay, so observe carefully. So first, normally what is a parameter means, observe here. So parameters are arguments, both are same. Okay, first point is parameters are arguments, both are same. So here what I'm doing, I'm creating a function, function name and a name. Okay, here I'm taking the body. Next I'm calling that function by giving the parameters. Okay, now I'm giving the parameters. So this is called what? Parameters. Okay, this is called what? Parameters. Okay, so next here I'm calling the wish function by providing one argument. I'm providing without argument. So if you are providing without argument, so it will give the error saying that wish function missing one required positional argument name. Okay, wish function missing one required positional argument name. Okay, so parameters are the input functions. If a function contains parameters, at the time of calling compulsory we should provide the values, otherwise we will get a error. Okay, otherwise we will get error. Program to take a number as input and print its square value. Okay, just this way we can find the square of a number by using a function, by defining a function. Okay, by passing the arguments. Okay, return statement means we are creating a function, and the in the function what it is happening, that value we are returning from where it is calling. Okay, we are creating a function, and with the parameters which are getting, and mal I mean adding the function or processing that logic, and whatever the logic you are processing, that information you are passing to the main function from where it is calling. Okay, here from where it is calling we are sending. Okay, this is nothing but what? A return statement. Okay, this is nothing but, in the last session we observed these concepts. Okay, today we have to observe that concept called returning multiple values from a function. Okay, returning multiple values from a function. Okay, observe here how to return multiple values from the function. Returning returning multiple values from a function. Okay, returning multiple values from a function. So observe here how to return multiple values from a function means, normally in other languages C, C++ and Java, functions can return at most one value. Okay, but in Python function can return any number of values. Okay, so in C, C++, Java, so whenever method is completing, so we have a chance to send only one return value, but in Python we can send any number of values to the from function from where it is calling. Okay, so Python is having the nature, so how many values you want to return, that is a major advantage with the returning multiple values from a function. Clear? So how we can do, let's observe with a small program. Okay, how we can do, let's observe with a small program, then you will get much clarity. Technology projects. So observe here, first what I am taking means I am taking a function. Okay, first I will take one function. I will take function. So I am defining a function, and function name is I want to add sum and subtraction. Okay, I am taking a function name called sum and subtraction of a comma b. Okay, sum of a comma b. Okay, sum I want to add and subtraction, so both I want to add only in this function. Okay, so a comma b are the two parameters. Okay, observe here. After that, I'm taking colon. I'm taking colon and pressing enter. Next, what I'm doing here means sum is equal to a plus b. Okay, sum is equal to a plus b, and subtraction. Okay, subtraction is equal to a minus b. A plus b and a minus b. Once it is completing, so first let me write the calling function x x comma y is equal to sum of, okay, sum of 200 comma 100. Okay, 200 comma 100. So here what happening is, whenever this function is calling, it is going to add sum and subtraction. Okay, addition of two numbers and subtraction of these two numbers, it will happen, and next it is going to return to the main function. Okay, observe carefully, don't get confused. First, print of sum is, okay, sum is sum is a sum is a sum, print subtraction, subtraction. Okay, so instead of here x y, because make sure here I'm taking the parameters of x comma y, not sum comma subtraction. Okay, observe here, first what I'm taking means I am calculating sum and I'm calculating subtraction. So from once it is completed, it is these variables are going to get. But observe here, here I didn't wrote the return statement. Okay, here I didn't wrote the return statement. When it is not having the return statement, this function, once the execution here it is completing, okay, once the execution it is completing here, but it, this function not returning anything. So in that case, x comma y is going to get the values of none. Okay, in that case, x comma y values are going to get none. Okay, sum and subtraction here will get none, because here we didn't write the, here we didn't write what statement, return statement. So because of, observe the output none and none. Okay, first what is the error? Cannot unpack non-iterable non-type object. Okay, cannot unpack non-iterable non-type object. So what it is giving? Okay, what it is giving means actually it should give that error, but let me write once, return sum comma subtraction. Okay, sum is 300, subtraction is 100, but it should give that value as none and none, but here it is giving 200. If I'm not providing this return statement, it should provide x and y as none. Okay, so that is the thing it should happen, but let me write here first. So if I'm taking only the one value, so in this case, okay, if you observe here, sum is none, because I'm I'm taking only one variable, and after completing this function, okay, after completing this function, sum is getting only the value x, but that x is not having anything, because here that sum I kept in comment. Okay, that sum I kept in comment, so that x is not getting any value, so that's why here we got x as none. Okay, so to resolve that problem, we have to go for the return statement and sum comma subtraction. So observe here in this case 300 comma 100. Clear, right? 200 plus 100 means 300, 200 minus 100 means 100. But observe here, I am removing one variable, but here I am providing two. Here I am providing two, I am returning two, but here I am receiving only one. So what happens? Y is not defined. Okay, Y is not defined. Why Y is not defined? Because I removed the Y. So sum is 300 comma 100 means it is getting these two values to one variable in the form of tuple. Okay, in the form of a tuple. Okay, print a type of x. Print a type of x. Class tuple. Clear? So this is example 1. Example 1 and the result will be class tuple. So here so first example 1. So if I am providing the values 1 but here returning 2 means it will get what in the form of tuple. But one more thing, if you observe here, if I am taking here comma y but here I am returning only 1. Okay, make sure this time what it will give. So unpack a non-iterable int object. Okay, cannot unpack a non-iterable object. Clear? Clear, right? So make sure whenever we are returning that time two values we have to pass. Example 2. Example 2. So observe the final example, sum comma subtraction. Okay, sum comma subtraction. So this time it is the perfect. Okay, this time it will be the perfect. This time it will be the perfect one. X colon 3. X colon 3. See, let me based on this, I will write some theory so that you will get clarity. Okay, so that you will get clarity. In other C, in other languages, C comma C plus plus comma Java functions can return statement can return almost only one value. Only one value. In other languages, C, C++, Java functions can return almost only one value. But in Python function can return any number of values. Any number of values. But in Python function can return any number of values. Clear? So this is nothing but returning values from a function. So based on this first example, I will write some theory. Okay, I will write some theory. So what is the theory means? Here I'm returning two values, but here receiving only one. Here returning two values, but receiving only one. So in this case, whenever, okay, observe here, whenever we are returning two values to calling function. Okay, whenever we are returning two values to calling function, if receiver having only one variable, receiver having only one variable, okay, receiver having only one variable, then this that time that time that one variable that one variable will become that one variable will become change change to, okay, one variable will become change to what variable, change to tuple dictionary data type, tuple dictionary data type. So how we can say that means, whenever we are returning two values to the calling function, okay, here these are the two values returning to the calling function. So this is the calling function, this is called function. Okay, this is the calling function, this is called function. So calling function, if a receiver, receiver, having only one variable, okay, if here receiver having only one variable, then that time that one variable will become changed to tuple dictionary data structure. Okay, that change to tuple dictionary data structure. Clear? This is nothing but point number one. Point number two. Okay, point number two. Here what I am doing means, not is equal to, if if the return statement, okay, if the return statement returning only one value, okay, if the return statement returning one value, but calling function, but receiver or calling function calling function having two variables having two variables having two if the return statement returning only one value, if the return statement returning only one value, but receiver or calling function having two variables, okay, having two variables, this time we will get a error. Okay, this time this time in okay, in that case, okay, in that case we will get error in that case we will get error saying type error cannot unpack non-iterable int object. Error saying non-iterable un non-iterable int object. Okay, cannot unpack. Okay, cannot unpack a non-iterable int object. Clear? So third one will be the best example. So in this case, in the above example, okay, in the above example, receiver and calling function, receiver and calling function having two variables, receiving and receiving. Okay, so in the above example, called and calling function having two variables returning. Okay, let me write in other case. In the above example, called function returning two variables, calling function having 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 two variables. Okay, calling function having two values values. In this case, there won't be any problem. There won't be any problem. Okay, we will get expected output. We will get the expected output. Okay, we will get the expected output. In the above example, called function returning two values and the calling function having two values. Called function having two values and a calling function having two values. In this case, there won't be any problem and we'll get the expected output. Okay, in this case, we'll get the expected output. So clear, right? So this is nothing but what returning multiple values from a function. Clear, right? So if you are having any questions or queries, please post your query in the comment section or reach out to my email ID in the given description. Thank you friends. Thanks for watching this video. If you are having any questions or queries, post your query in the comment section. Okay. So please subscribe to my channel if you are watching for the first time. Thank you friends. Thanks for watching.